Hello and welcome to day 2 of the Preacher Life for this week. And today's installment, we're going to cover Genesis 6 through about 9. This is Noah's flood. So in Genesis 6, we have come through about 1,500 years of history, from creation of Adam and Eve to this time period, and adding together the genealogies in Genesis 5. As far as the Bible is concerned, the time period of when it was written, this is the largest gap of time that has very little covered as far as what was going on. In later books of the Bible, you can see that wicked kings and rulers receive very little coverage, or hardly a few paragraphs mentioned. I believe that because of man's wickedness, mankind's wickedness on the earth, that is a good reason of why so much time was covered or passed and not really talked about in the Bible. So we read here in Genesis 6, verse 1. Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. In verse 3, and the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Now, I used to think that this 120 years was giving a maximum age of mankind, but in studying further, I now see that it's more of a time period of when the flood would happen, that God gave a warning that what he was going to do. Now going down here to verse 5. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. We can sometimes see evil today and a lot of what's going on in the world around us, but by the sounds of this, it was even worse back in this time period, more so than I'd probably even want to imagine. And as a result, God said that he would destroy all life on earth, except for those in the ark. So God called Noah because he was found righteous to him. Then Genesis 6, verse 13. And God said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. And this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. So we don't use a cubit today for measuring, but at that time, a cubit was the distance from your elbow to the tip of your fingers, or about here to the tip of your fingers. So Amigo here would have a very short cubit. And looking back at ancient records, A cubit was about 22 inches or 18 inches, depending on time period. So the ark was a very large vessel, not a small bathtub ark like we often see in children's videos. And if you want to see the full-size one, look at the Ark Encounter in Kentucky that I'll be showing some pictures of. Now, a lot of people wonder how could Noah have fit all the animals into the ark. Well, we can see that here a little bit. So, God said, further on in Genesis 6 now, looking at verse 18. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall go into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of the birds after their kind, of animals after their kind, and of every creeping thing of the earth after its kind. 2 of every kind will come to you to keep them alive. So a key word there is kind. So God did not need to take 2 Great Danes, 2 dingoes, 2 wolves. He only needed 2 of the dog kind, as well as horses, elephants, bears, and all the other different kinds of animals. So that drastically reduced the number of animals that Noah had to take with him. And some estimates say that it would have only been about 3,000 or so different animals. And some may say at most it was 16,000 animals. But it's definitely very possible that he got everything on. So after God brought everything to them, God shut the door of the ark behind him. In the same way, everyone on the ark had to go through the door to be saved, and it's a precursor that everyone who wants to be saved now has to go through the door of Christ, because Jesus said, I am the door, that everyone who enters through me will go in and out and find green pasture. Now, in the same way as the ark, that was a prelude for what was to come for Jesus. Now, during the flood, everything on the entire earth was covered in water. And so Noah, Genesis 7, starting at verse 7. So Noah with his sons, his wife, and his son's wife went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Now, verse 7, verse 17. Now the flood was on the earth 40 days. The waters increased and lifted high up the ark. And it lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly on the earth, and all the high hills under the whole heaven were covered. The waters prevailed 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. Now, 15 cubits, if you say a cubit is about 18 inches, or 1.5 feet, that would be, say, 22 feet over the highest mountains. Now, you can say that Mount Everest is over 30,000 feet today. Well, at the time of Noah, the mountains were not what we have today. A lot of the geography we see today is a result of the flood and plate tectonics. So Noah did not need oxygen in order to be on the ark, but everything was covered. Some people will try to say that the flood was only a local event, but the only way you can get flood waters to be 15 cubits over the mountains is to have something like a fish tank here, that all the water is contained. We don't see that in the text. It says all the heavens were covered. So it would have been a worldwide global flood. But God remembered Noah and everything on the ark. We read here, Genesis 8, verse 1. Then God remembered Noah and every living thing, and all the animals that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. So, after a time, God started to bring back the waters. And we read later in Genesis 8 that Noah was released from the ark. Genesis 8, verse 15. Then God spoke to Noah, saying, Go out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing of all flesh that is with you, birds and cattle, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, so that they may abound on the earth, and be fruitful and multiply on the earth. So this was just about a year after Noah and everything went in the ark. Then they came out of it again. And then we see the rainbow promise in Genesis 8, verse 20. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a soothing aroma. Then the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground for man's sake, although the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, nor will I again destroy every living thing as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. Then going on through verse 9, chapter 9, so God blessed Noah and his sons, and he said to them, Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. So again, same command that Adam and Eve were given. And that we can look to God and know that everything will continue as long as the earth endures. So that is where we will end today. That we can be very thankful for God's provisions and know that He will look after those that are righteous in His sight, that have truly repented of their sins and look to Him alone. That we can have this same assurance that no matter what comes as we live in a fallen world, we can look to Christ, who is the door of salvation, and go through Him. So again, thank you for watching. These videos are being recorded before they go out, so I will not see your comments, but I will try to reply to questions or make future videos as they come. So thank you for watching, and tomorrow we should have another video coming out. Until then, have a great day. Bye for now.